Hello, Podstrons. I'm Richard James.
And I'm Chris Dale.
But of course you know that if you've been watching or listening to the Gerry Anderson Podcast. Now, this is a quick heads up that things are going to be a little different from now on. Yes. We're going to be giving you more of what you like, but perhaps not quite so often.
Yes.
Chris, what do we have in store?
Every month we're going to be watching a random episode of a random Gerry Anderson show, randomly.
Amazing.
With our special guest each month, whoever that may be.
Yes.
Presenting you with a selection of highlights in the body of the main podcast. And then 2 weeks later, you get the full randomizer, something every fortnight now rather than every week.
That's about it. But within the podcast, we have the return of Fab Facts. We have the return of Fab or Fib. So from now on, we have the Gerry Anderson Podcast every month. And in between the podcast, the randomizer. So there's something for you every 2 weeks. Let us know what you think and let us know how we go. If you have any thoughts and comments, email them to podcast@gerryanderson.com or comment beneath the videos.
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
Hello, you. Look. They've come to join us again.
That lot?
Yeah, it's the Podstrons.
Haven't they got anything better to do?
Every month we're going to be joined by a very special guest who will watch an entire episode.
Yes, the guest is now part of the randomizer. Yeah. Very exciting development.
And here she is, our first guest, is Wendy Wason. Hello, Wendy.
Hi.
Hello.
How nice to meet you.
Nice to see you guys.
Actor, comedian, star of stage and screen.
Podcast host.
Yes.
So is there anything you haven't done? Is there anything on the bucket list you still yet to do?
Well, I've just written a play, so I'm hoping that that's happened, like that goes somewhere. I've written a play, not that funny, like sort of matching witch trials in Scotland from the 1600s with modern day witch hunts.
Wow.
Like Monica Lewinsky and Christine Keeler and
that
kind of stuff.
So not a barrel of laughs, but
not about, there's funny bits in it, but you know, burning witches is never that funny.
So I guess that entailed lots of research.
Lots of research, but then I think most comics like to disappear down that rabbit hole and find yourself swimming in knowledge and instances that you didn't know.
A bit of a history buff then?
I do like that. Yeah, I didn't realise how... I did a master's during lockdown when everybody else was doing nothing. I was like, I need to do something.
I baked banana bread. You did a master's.
I did a master's in neuroscience and psychology during lockdown.
But
I didn't realise how much comics like to, it's part of the job to research, because like politicians can make stuff up and aren't held accountable, but if a comedian tells a lie, we are roasted for that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's right. So I guess in a sense nothing is wasted then from a comedian's point of view, is it?
No, I don't
Anything
think so.
becomes material on stage, does it?
Yeah, and I think also everything forms what you do, doesn't it?
So we'll look at a bit of your stand-up later.
Oh, God.
More importantly, we want to test your Anderson knowledge.
Okay.
And we're going to do that now with another new segment.
Yes.
This is the Andermeter.
Indeed.
Is that right?
That's
yes,
right.
Good. And this is how we're going to tell if you know your Zoonies from your Zills and your Zodiacs from your Zelders.
That means nothing to you, I can tell.
No.
Terrified.
That's right. So we asked you a series of questions,
okay,
and we put your answers into the Andermeter, and this will give us a rating for your Anderson knowledge. So let's see how you did. Two. Okay. I mean, that actually gives us huge scope because now we can tell you everything you need to know about Gerry Anderson.
I can't wait.
Or at least,
well, we'll condense it.
Maybe we'll find one particular series to look at. That's right. So, how do you fancy then, Wendy? Here's a bit of a challenge for you. Sitting down with us to watch an episode from a random Gerry Anderson series a little later on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, in order to do that, you need to press the randomizer button.
Okay.
Ooh.
Is
Chris.
that a big red button on the table by any chance?
That's what that is.
Grab that.
Everyone sees that big red button and they're like, forget everything else, I want to press that. Yes.
Tell us about the randomizer.
Well, the randomizer has every Gerry Anderson episode and feature film ever made in it.
Wow.
So that's 540-something episodes and 4 films. We've been going for a very long time now.
Wow.
And every week our special guest gets to press the big red button to select what we're going to watch. So Wendy, it's all up to you.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
Okay, we're through the black and white stuff already.
So these are all Gerry's series that you can see flashing past, some of which you might recognise. But where will it stop? Okay. Interesting. Have you heard of Space 1999?
I don't know Space 1999.
Oh,
how fortunate.
We got a treat for you then.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about Space 1999.
Well, Space 1999, 2 series, 48 episodes across 2 very different series. I think it premiered 75, the first series.
I was 2.
There you go.
And second series a year later, 76. You were 3.
I was 3.
Yes.
Quick maths.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, top marks.
So the premise of the series is there's a human colony on the moon in the year 1999. There's a massive nuclear explosion. Moon gets blown out of orbit.
Could happen.
Could happen.
Good.
Moon goes spinning off into space with all these people stuck on it. They're looking for a new home and also trying to survive. There's naughty aliens who come to try to eat them or
Pesky
freeze them.
aliens.
They're very naughty.
Did you say naughty aliens?
Naughty aliens? What would you
The
say?
worst, very worst kind.
That sounds like a good band name.
Yeah.
Yeah, got all their early stuff.
Yeah.
So, Wendy, you scored 2 on the Andermeter.
Right.
So what exactly do you know of Gerry Anderson's series? I understand that you're sort of fairly familiar with a certain stylish member of International Rescue you mentioned in our
Lady
email
Penelope.
exchange, Lady Penelope.
But then I think I was introduced to Thunderbirds and Trace Island. There was a thing on Blue Peter where
Yes.
they made a Trace Island out of paper mache.
Yes, classic.
Are you
Anthea
familiar with
Turner,
that?
yes.
Absolutely right, yes. Who isn't familiar with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was because I think the series is being repeated again on the BBC.
Yeah, and you couldn't get the toys for love nor money. The Tracy
But I
Island
think,
in
I think
particular.
there was one year when I was trying to get that for like a child in my life, and it looked like a cool. I think I was quite taken by it because it's almost like a Bond layer, isn't it?
It's very much like a Bond.
Yeah,
layer.
very futuristic.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we have a message from Steve Bushell, who's
Okay.
one of our viewers, who says, hello, Wendy, you're probably far too young to have seen any Anderson shows on their first run.
Okay, well, that's very nice of him. I
So-
like him.
What children's shows did you grow up on? And are you a BBC or ITV person? So what were you enjoying as a child?
I liked Blue Peter.
Yeah.
I liked Swap Shop. Noel
okay.
Edmonds Swap Shop. Are you
Yes.
familiar with that?
Yeah, of course.
In fact, I think when they came to Edinburgh, I went to when there was Arthur's Seat that they had a swap where you brought a toy in and you swapped it for another one. That was like in the. But I was more of a BBC kid. I think Tiz was on ITV when I was
It
little. It was
was,
a bit chaotic for
And
me.
Magpie, of course, is the ITV version of Blue Peter.
Yeah, I think that was a bit
So
crazy for me.
if I were to say 018118055 to you,
Yeah, I know that.
it's a
Yeah.
little Proustian thrill,
Oh,
bit of
yeah.
a rush. Yeah.
I remember that.
Sweet, isn't it? It's nice. Good.
Noel Edmonds sitting behind the desk with the number
Oh,
on it.
yes.
So
Yeah.
what is it about? You were a BBC household then, as far. I mean, I'm exactly the same. It's weird, isn't
I mean,
it?
it's really weird. Also, in my knowledge, I spent 5 years in Dubai when I was growing up, so there's a gap in my sort of pop culture knowledge
Yes. Okay.
from 81 to 86.
What was terrible?
You missed terrible. Well, some might say she was
Some might
lucky
say
for that. What was Dubai like as a place to
It
live?
wasn't what it is now. Look, I'm
Yeah.
actually going back for the
Was
first
it a small
time.
little fishing village back then?
Well, there was lots of sort of old gold souks, and my dad was out there sort of helping design the airport.
Oh.
So
yeah.
I've not been back for the longest time, so we're going back this year actually.
Are you?
I think I'm going to be bewildered because apparently it's
Yeah.
more like Vegas than
Yeah.
the Dubai I remember.
Yeah, absolutely right. So, what brought you to the UK? Is this family reasons?
My
work
dad,
and so on?
my parents are from Scotland, but my dad's an engineer, so he travelled a lot.
And tell us, then, so when did you first become interested in the performing arts? How did that work out?
I think I did a bit at school, but I
Yeah.
and then I started acting at university. I did theatre studies at university and English, and
Yeah.
then acted for a bit, and then did stand up when my middle child was 6 weeks old. 6 weeks old was the first time I started.
What?
stand-up.
You had a small babe in arms and decided now's a good time to start stand up.
I wanted to do stand up for the longest time, and there's a sort of madness when you have a newborn. You've just grown a human. You're like, I can do anything.
I can be a stand
Do
up.
you know what I mean? I can grow a human. I can keep it alive.
Yeah.
I could probably do stand up,
And it worked.
and it worked.
Yeah. And how old is that?
That
the newborn
child is
now.
21 next month.
Amazing. So you've mentioned Lady Penelope.
Yes.
You've mentioned Blue Peter.
Yeah.
So would you like to see Lady Penelope on Blue Peter?
Shut up.
Have a look at this.
Well, first of all, if I can introduce Mary and Christine, who were two of our top operators on Thunderbirds. You can see the controls that they're holding, and these in turn are connected with very fine wires to the puppet. And so
Correct.
if
She's
Mary
so
moves
gorgeous,
her
isn't
control,
she?
you can see
She's a looker.
the way
She's
Penelope
very Honor
responds.
Blackman.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely right.
To use her eyes.
Is that the inspiration for her?
I would assume that character was, yeah, and Emma Peel
The
as
hands are
well.
made from rubber, and there are wires running down in the middle of the fingers so that we can bend the fingers and make the hand do anything, a salute point or whatever. The wig is very special. It's made of human hair, just like a human wig, and each hair is individually knotted.
Amazing, isn't
I
it?
love her.
The attention to detail.
Yeah.
Every hair is individually knotted.
Wow.
So, do you have sort of particularly striking memories of Lady Penelope? What was it that drew you to
Liked
her
her
as a
car.
character? Her car. Because it was pink?
Yeah, well, no, I think so. It was pink and swanky, I think.
Yeah,
It's
fair
a nice
enough.
car.
Yeah. And do you remember Parker as well?
I do, yes.
Okay,
yes.
great. So you may not know that Gerry's career is sort of divided between the puppet shows, like Thunderbirds, others you might have heard of like Stingray or Captain Scarlet, and live action series.
I'm not so familiar with the live action stuff.
There you go. So things like
That would have
UFO.
been in the 70s.
Yeah.
Right.
UFO, Space 1999 and The Protectors.
Okay.
There was a live action film in 69 as well, but it was mostly the puppet stuff in the 60s.
You're just the oracle, aren't you?
I mean,
I'm afraid so.
ask him anything.
I
He'll
love
know.
it.
Yeah, go for it. Let's talk a little bit then about your acting career.
Okay.
So I know you've done work for things like Sherlock and Midsummer Murders, and the IT
all
crowd.
acting. Oh yeah, I did the IT crowd.
Yes.
That's a while back,
So
yeah.
what was your journey then from school to...
I was at university and they filmed Taggart, and
There's been a murder.
there's been a murder, yeah. And so they were looking for someone to do a Taggart, so I got a job in Taggart, and then called up an agent and said, I've got a job, but I don't have an agent. And she was like, and you know what?
God, in
Yeah.
those days, honestly, you could not
you
do
don't need
that
to say to an
now.
agent, I'm earning money, would you like some? And
Yes,
strangely,
yes.
she said yes.
Funny that, yeah.
And
Yeah.
then that sort of took off there, so I just kept getting offered bits. I don't feel like I sort of really hunted for it. It just sort of, things just kept coming in. I was like, that's kind of fun. So
And this was before your stand-up work.
this was before stand-up,
So
yeah.
is-
So I only started stand-up when I moved to London. My first job was at the Gilded Balloon in Edinburgh
Oh, yeah.
when I was 17.
Ah,
So I sort of worked on the door there.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing a comic and thinking, God, that's great that he just makes that up. And then going in the next night and seeing the same show and being
Yeah.
like, oh my God,
that's right.
it's a fraud.
That's really interesting, isn't it? So it's almost like an acting piece,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
like
Stand-up?
an acting. Yeah, I think so. I think on stage I'm a bit more of an elevated version of me.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit sort of filthier and a bit more sweary than I would be.
Yes, I have noticed on a few clips I've seen. We'll be showing a
My
clip
mum's
later.
like,
I
it's
had
such a
to.
shame you have to swear, Wendy. I'm like, I know, Mum. But
Mums
Mum's
like
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So do you? I mean, are you using those tools that you use as an actor? Do you take those into your stand-up work? Are you thinking
I get-
about
yeah,
the
sometimes.
delivery and pausing and?
Yeah, it's really interesting how sometimes if you leave a pause, you get a laugh that isn't there if you don't pause.
Ah, yeah.
Sometimes, because I've said it more than one time, I know where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
But the audience often doesn't, so sometimes I have to let it settle, let the idea settle
Yes.
before I move on to the next bit, so the audience can sort of
Right.
grasp what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and there's some bits like I used to do a joke about sitting in hospital next to a guy from prison. A prisoner came in,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to say to him, "What are you in for?"
Right.
Because I thought prisoners might hear that a lot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have to slow down so that the audience get what are you in for in
Yeah.
hospital and what are you in for, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
because I know where I'm going, but
Yeah, yeah.
often I have to sort of lay the breadcrumbs. To sort
Interesting.
of take the audience with me, if that makes
And,
sense.
and I guess that varies from night to night. I mean, I know you generally, I suppose, do one-nighters, but if you were to
Yeah.
do a longer run in the same venue, each audience might be different,
Yeah,
mightn't they?
yeah, and it's quite funny when, like, jokes that get a big laugh don't get a big laugh, and you're like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah. Yeah, that was so funny, wasn't it?
This is
Yeah.
definitely not me. This
Do I have to
is you.
explain it?
Yeah, I mean, I laughed when I wrote it. I don't know why you're not laughing now. Right. Yeah. Okay, well, let's have a quick look at a brief clip
Oh my God,
from something from Sherlock.
Sherlock.
Yeah.
How did you meet?
Came up to me in a pub, same gym as me. We just got chatting on the bus. One line.
Name?
Told you.
His name.
Oscar. Mike. Terry. Love Monkey.
Your place?
Is his place.
Address?
These was in and Terry had been got in here, nothing in SE 108OY. Nothing happened. It was just very romantic.
4 women in 4 nights. He must have something special.
He was very charming. He listened. He was sweet. He had a love.
You okay? Let your food go cold. Mrs. Hudson will play hell.
Now, John.
Sherlock.
Sherlock.
Now, tell me, how many times did you have to do that scene of someone went, "Oh, no, sorry, I forgot to jump in with my line."
No, I think it went quite.
Were they all
smoothly.
professional?
Yeah, I think it went quite
Wow.
smoothly. I remember like doing a joke where what I thought was funny, something you could, and it's a very serious show, obviously,
Yeah.
Sherlock.
Yeah.
And my line, I felt like it would make more sense if I said, as something else. So I said to the director, can I change that line? Can I make it this? And he said, yeah. And then I said, so do I get writing credit now? Thinking I was being hilarious, and his face. And I was like, I was joking. That was a joke. Sorry.
I'd get the union involved.
You don't joke in a BBC flagship
That's
show.
right. Yeah, incredible.
I know that now.
I mean, do you get recognised from your work on TV occasionally?
Occasionally.
Things like Sherlock gets a massive audience.
It does. I think that IT crowd I get more from that. I think people who like the IT crowd love the IT crowd, so I get that more, I think. Wow, great shoes. I really envy women with dainty feet. What are you? A 5? Oh, hello again.
Oh, hi.
Ever written for TV or have ambitions to write for TV?
I've written a sitcom called Half My Age Plus 7, which I don't know if you know what that is. It's the sort of ideal rule for an age gap in France, apparently. Half my age plus 7. So,
What?
Yeah.
That's the age gap.
Yeah.
in France.
And my husband's a bit younger than me, so I wrote a story about age gap relationships where you know, when you refer to something that your partner has never heard of.
Yes.
Because he was 12, I was 12 when he was born.
Yes.
So
I guess then, as a you're minding your own life continually.
100%.
Because that's what makes you you.
And also, I don't have time to make stuff up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I plunder my life. I plunder my children's lives. I plunder my husband's lives. Yeah.
No shame at all.
No shame at all.
You're going to be plundering
no shame
this?
at all. Yeah. Well, I don't think so. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. Well, let's get back to Space 1999.
Right.
Yes.
Which is the episode we're going to be watching on the randomizer a little later on with Wendy. And I think we're going to be joined by Gerry Anderson
Oh, cool.
himself.
He is still here.
Yeah, he is.
Lurking around the building.
He is
You know
somewhere.
not where. Yeah.
Does he like his dad's stuff? Is he obsessed with his dad's stuff?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. So back in the day, there was an interview with Jamie and his dad, in which Jamie professed to liking Doctor Who, preferring Doctor Who to his own father's work.
Wow.
Yes.
Same writer as Sherlock. Stephen Moffat.
That's right, indeed. So yeah, the new stuff. That's
And
it.
also Coupling. So Stephen Moffat did
Coupling.
Coupling, which I did, and
Yeah.
then he did Sherlock.
Yeah, prolific writer.
Yeah.
Extraordinary, isn't it? In front of you, Wendy, you will see a couple of props.
Yes. The one nearest you is the stun gun that they use in the series.
Oh, wow.
Play with that.
Does it still have batteries in to make the trigger fun?
Probably. I don't think we thought that far ahead, Chris. I
Kill.
didn't think she'd actually play with it.
Kill or stun.
Kill
Yeah.
or stun, yes.
Yeah.
You're trying to work
That's
out how to hold. There you go.
That's it there.
That's the natural. Yeah.
Nice.
So
Cool.
does the trigger just above the thumb? Does that still work? Yes. It still has batteries.
I love it. That's
Nice.
just stun, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, obviously. Yeah. She
don't
knows a
wanna-
way
I
around
don't
already.
wanna
She's-
kill
she's-
anyone,
no,
just wanna
yeah.
stab 'em.
Heaven forbid. No, we don't have the
Wow,
budget.
that's cool.
And the other one here, this is the Comlock. This is their communicator, and they also use it to open doors.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
I think I had a phone like this in the 90s.
Well, exactly. So many things from the Anderson series are now coming true.
Oh, really?
So if you look on the end of that, you'll see a little screen, the other end.
Alright.
So you would talk into there and see the person you were speaking to on the screen.
Oh.
See
And it was
prototype.
actually a real television screen that they fitted into the prop, which for 1973 was quite revolutionary at
wild.
the time. Yeah.
So sorry, he's an inventor as well then. He's invented loads of
Well,
stuff.
in many ways, but sci-fi is very often a precursor. It kind of nudges progress forward in a
Yeah.
way in the real world sometimes. Star Trek famously had the communicator. I don't know
Wow.
if you're a Star Trek fan.
I'm not
No.
Star Trek.
I mean, lots of sci-fi series have people talking on screens to each other,
Yeah.
which, even 20 years ago was considered to be completely futuristic.
Do you know what I remember? My parents used to be obsessed with. Do you remember Blake 7?
Oh yes.
I remember
Yes.
Black 7.
Oh right, okay.
You've come to the
Sorry.
right place. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not aged well. I'm like,
No, that's
that
true.
was moving. But
Yeah,
my
that's
parents were obsessed with Blake 7.
Really?
We used to watch that.
Yeah.
I think I liked the outfits.
Well, it was very, and it was also massively in those days. Maybe it's still the case, I don't know, but sci-fi was mainstream. I mean, Terry Wogan on his breakfast show, I remember the radio would talk about Blake 7 endlessly the next
really?
morning. Yeah. So everyone, these are the days when everyone watched the same things.
Yeah.
20 million
Tomorrow's
people.
World.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff, you just get 10,
See,
15
just
million
talking
viewers.
to you, all these sort of memories from my childhood are coming back that I've completely
Yeah.
forgotten about.
Yeah, yeah.
That have
That's what
lain
we're here for.
dormant in my
Yes.
brain.
Yeah.
Only to emerge when I'm chatting to you guys.
But isn't that nice?
Yeah.
It's nice having that. We had Nigel Planer here once,
Oh, wow.
and we were talking to him about Torchy, which is an old Gerry Anderson series from the 50s, Chris? Is that right?
Very late 50s. Yeah.
And suddenly the theme tune came into his mind, and he
Oh,
hadn't thought
wow.
of that theme tune for the last 60 years, and
It's mad, though.
it was buried away.
It's all there.
Yes.
So this is the first mobile phone then, essentially, from 1973.
Exactly right.
Pretty much, yeah.
Same age as me.
Yeah. Right, there you go. So you get a good tariff and it could still work now. No, so let's, talking about Space 1999, let's have a look at a very quick primer from
Yes,
Chris Dale.
from you several years ago, yes.
To get you ready to be introduced to, a whole moon base full of characters.
Two of the biggest names yet connected with any Gerry Anderson production, Martin Landau and Barbara Bain in the lead roles of Base Commander John Koenig and Chief Medical Officer Dr. Helena Russell.
Now, I hope you're paying attention.
Always on hand with a theory or two was Barry Morse as Professor Victor Bergman.
I just don't know.
While the rest of the cast included Prentice Hancock as Deputy Controller Paul Morrow, Xenia Merton as Data Analyst Sandra Benish, Anton Phillips as Dr. Bob Mathias, Clifton Jones as Computer Specialist David Carno, and Nick Tate as Captain Alan Carter, Chief Pilot of Alpha's primary mode of transportation, the Eagle Transporter.
There we go. There's your lineup.
Wow.
Yes. Do you recognise any of the faces that you saw there?
I don't.
Not even Martin Landau.
Martin Landau, I do recognise that face. What else has
Well,
he been in?
he won an Oscar in his later years for
Ed Wood.
Ed Wood. It was
Yeah.
the Tim Burton movie.
Yes, yeah.
That's right.
And he and Barbara Bain had been regulars on Mission Impossible
Okay.
in the 60s. We did a lot of things.
Yeah, and they were a couple, in fact.
She's quite like Penelope, Lady Penelope, isn't she?
She's very like Lady Penelope. I mean, in many ways, there
Did
are.
Gerry have a type by any chance?
Funny you should say that. There are certainly recurring themes
Yes.
throughout his
Oh,
series,
really?
and very often it's about a sort of a loose, almost family unit. So the Tracy brothers from Thunderbirds, you might recognise
Yes, I
his
recognise
Virgil,
them.
for example. Then you have the Spectrum agents from Captain Scarlet. Then you have the Moonbase crew from Space 1999. So it was very
Like a
often,
family.
yeah, kind of a family unit thing. And in fact, Martin Landau was also a cartoonist before he became
Oh, wow.
an actor. So when you watch the episode with us a bit later,
Yeah.
you might spot some similarities to a certain film that you may or may not have seen.
Very
Chris,
similar title.
yes.
2001 A Space Odyssey.
Oh, right, yes.
Yes.
So tell us more.
We have some images here. Comparable costumes, comparable settings. Obviously, the titles are very similar. Similar designs on the spacesuits there.
So ever seen 2001?
I think I might have. I don't recall.
Wow.
I'm really bad for getting halfway through a film and going, oh, I've seen this.
Well, to be fair, 2001 is certainly a film you might get halfway through.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Do you know what? I'll
Oh,
say
hang on,
this.
he's the baddie. My kid's like, Mom! My husband doesn't like to sit next to me in the cinema because I ask questions. He's like, I don't know. Let's just wait and see.
What kind of films do you enjoy then? What do you go and see?
Oh, the most recent I saw was Lilo and Stitch.
Of
with my
course.
kids. But I mean, I'll watch anything. I like all Marilyn Monroe films. I love
do you?
Yeah, big fan of Marilyn Monroe.
Ah, you know.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a Lady Penelope thing there as well, isn't there?
There is, isn't there?
A bit
Yeah.
of glamour
Yeah,
kind
a
of
bit of
thing
glamour.
going on.
Yeah.
So, actor, comedian, podcaster.
Podcaster, yes.
How did this come about?
Well, I used to have a podcast called Wendy's Words of Wisdom where I just chat to people about their area of expertise. And
Oh.
then I've always been really into sort of astrology and tarot cards. I don't think tarot cards would predict in the future. I just think about them. The history of tarot is really interesting to me. It was sort of one of the first things that gave women agency. So
in what
you'd come
sense?
round to the house and I'd do a little reading for you and you'd give me some butter.
Right.
Or some milk.
Yeah.
And it was basically sort of therapy where like I'd pull out coins and go, are you worried about money? Or I'd pull out swords and like, have you got some ideas?
Yeah.
So it was all that kind of stuff. And so I've done a podcast about all the sort of witchy-woo stuff
Yes.
that is deemed nonsense and non-scientific.
Let's have a look at a clip from Love, Hex and Magic. This one is the magic of the moon, which I think is quite appropriate.
Hi, witches. Welcome back to another fun and fabulous episode of Love, Hex and Magic. My name's Carly.
And I'm Wendy Wason. It's great to be back.
What we're talking about today is lunar magic and the magic of the moon. Wendy, do you have any rituals, practices that you do during particular times of the moon cycle?
Yeah, I do celebrate the full moon. And I am also but coming up to it like a new moon, I like a couple of duvet days. It's a new moon today.
Is it? Well, thank you for dragging yourself out of bed to join us.
I do feel
Especially with this weather.
I'm coming to the end of something and I come to the end of a cycle. And I don't know about you, but before COVID, I could do a million things a day. And now I send 3 emails and I want a nap.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. I think there's a few amens around the country.
Oh, really?
About it. What's happened to us? It's funny, isn't it?
It is.
Why are
it
we all so
is.
perpetually tired all the time?
Although my son said to me yesterday, I don't want a big lockdown one, but I could do with maybe a month of lockdown.
Oh.
Where you can go. Everything's just on pause
Kind
for
of
a bit.
know what they mean.
Just to sort of catch up with
I know.
sleep.
Yeah, life admin.
A few box sets.
Yeah, and the emails. Yeah.
And the email boxes.
Yeah, that's right.
We have a message from John Stock on our Facebook group who says, "Hi Wendy, if you had the chance, would you go on a trip to the moon? Thanks."
Yes, I would. I'd
Would
love
you?
to go on
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Would you?
I think, I'm fascinated by the moon, and I think women tend to be fascinated by them. Obviously, 28-day cycles
Yeah.
are important to women,
Yeah.
and I think if it can control the tides, and
Yeah.
it can control us probably,
Yeah.
and I'd love to go to the moon.
What would you take with you? Like a desert island discs thing? What would your
I
luxury
take with
be?
me? I'd take,
Or what would you leave
I
behind?
don't know, my children. No,
Yeah.
that's-
Oh,
no. I'd bring them with me to the moon.
Of course.
Of course.
We're going to play a little game with you now.
Okay.
Since we're on the subject of the moon, we're going to play a game called Fab or Fib.
I remember Fab or Fib.
It's a very popular item that's returned
Okay.
to the podcast, especially
Wow.
for you. I'm going to give you 5 facts. In fact, I'm going to give you 5 names of locations on the moon.
All right.
Not all of them are real locations.
Okay.
Some of them are made up.
Oh, cool.
So if you think they're real, you have to say fab.
Okay.
If you think they're not real, you have to say fib.
Okay.
It's very simple. Understand?
I get it.
Here's your first one.
The Wason Basin.
The Wason Basin.
Fib.
Do you think so?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Let's have a look at the Wason Basin. Fab or fib?
Fib.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Next one for luck.
Fib.
Lake of Forgetfulness.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
They do have some very strange names. Lake of Forgetfulness? Fab or fib? No, it's true. It's actually called, yes, the Lake of
I
Forgetfulness.
just thought that's what I call my brain.
Okay. Mare Nectaris. What do you think? Fab or fib?
I think it's a fib.
You do?
Yeah.
Sounds a bit Latin-y, doesn't it? Who knows? Let's have a look.
God,
I know,
I'm
that one's
terrible at
true.
this.
Yeah, that's right. It's I think it's the
Mare,
Sea of Nectar.
Sea of Nectar.
Sea of Nectar, because they thought that these sort of shadowy areas were seas when they
Okay.
first observed the moon and gave them these strange names. Next one. Moule marinière.
Well, I know that's a mussel dish.
Is it? Oh, you mean it's not a place on the moon?
I think it'll be a fib.
All right, let's have a look. Yeah, of course it's a fib. Okay, one more to go, I think. Right.
There's definitely a sea of something, but I don't think it's cleverness.
Yeah, what do you think then? Are you saying it's a fab or a fib?
I'm going to go fab.
Are you now? Let's have a look.
Curved ball at the end.
Yes,
Yes.
you're right. Very good. I mean, I wasn't keeping score, but I imagine you got like 2 or 3.
Well, I was keeping score. I counted 3.
Hey!
Three?
Which is more than me. I did it earlier and I
Oh,
only
really?
got 2.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah,
good. That's
well
very
done.
good. Well, you
Look at
like
me
to...
knowing stuff about the moon.
It's been quite Reithian here. You see, we like to inform, educate, and I don't know what the other one is. Is there another one? Or is that it?
Inform, educate and entertain.
I mean, 2 out of
We'll
3 are
work out
bad.
to that one day, yeah.
Exactly. So, can you tell us then, Wendy, what do you have coming up? I mean, is there anywhere we could
Well,
see you?
I'm gigging quite a lot, so
Ah.
you can check my website, and there's dates on that. I'm
Okay.
always sort of gigging. I think
Okay.
I'm in Lichfield next Saturday.
Lichfield is nice. It's a nice town. Do you enjoy touring? Is that
Do you
a
know
joy?
what? I enjoy connecting with people. I think comedy's really great for sort of reaching out and making connections. And there's things that happen in the room that will never happen ever again.
Yeah.
And you're part of that sort of. I don't feel like I'm entertaining people. I feel like we're in a two-way
Nice.
street there, and I'll let the audience take me to whatever they find amusing.
Yes.
And it's that sort of. I don't feel like buying a ticket for a comedy club is like a ticket entertain me. I feel like it's a contract where you pay attention and I'll entertain you, and then it's a two-way
Interesting.
street. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know exactly what you mean. Do you go off piste much? Are you able
I've
to?
got no idea. Sometimes I just get halfway through a sentence. I've got no idea what I'm on about. I'm like, were you paying attention? Because I've forgotten what I'm saying.
Yeah, where were we?
That sums us up. Yeah, that's reasonably
That's
round, yes.
true enough. Yeah, that's right. Well, speaking of your stand-up career, let's have a little clip. This is quite an old clip,
Oh,
I
is
think.
it?
Let's have a look at this.
And this is my third child. I've got 2 already, so I'm not too worried about it. And my other 2, I have my other 2 with my ex-husband, and they're quite smart. So if this one turns out to be a thickie, we'll know who to blame.
My poor husband.
It's all there for everyone to
I didn't
see.
tell him you're pregnant till like 12 weeks. And my little boy found out quite early. I came out of the shower, and he's 6, and he went, "Mummy, what's going on? You've got a fat tummy and you do sit-ups."
Charming.
Charming.
Well, Mummy's going to have a baby, but we can't tell anyone about it. We keep it a secret until 12 weeks. And he went, "Well, when's the baby coming?" And I said, "September." And he went, That's an awful big secret to keep until September.
I mean, we're laughing about it, the joke there of your ex-husband, but this digital footprint thing, the fact that, everything you say now is recorded and put online somewhere, does that worry you at all?
Do you know what? I think we've all got our stuff going on, and I think if you people mess up and people make mistakes, and I think it doesn't concern me, because I think cancel culture concerns me, because there's no room for redemption, and nobody's perfect, and we all make mistakes, and I think there needs to be an environment where you can say, yeah, I messed up.
Yeah. I'm going to show a clip now that isn't some of your work, but it just leaked out to me just this week online. It's from Jimmy Carr, dealing with a heckler, and we'll talk about hecklers after this little clip.
Where's Virgil? What's doing? Where's Virgil? Where's Virgil? It's okay, I did say ask me anything. And this guy's taking it literally. He's on the lookout for a fella called Virgil. Thunderbirds? Thunderbirds? Well, it's quite an old reference, you know what? I'm not the guy from Quantum Leap, I've just arrived in the late 70s. The Thunderbirds, the 70s TV show, 60s TV show. A guy look a bit like a Thunderbird. Gotcha. Just say that. No one's disagreeing, by the way.
Everyone does the puppet walk.
I could do Captain Scarlet, the remake, couldn't I? It was always the legs that were a bit odd on Thunderbirds. The puppets they could do the head, they could do the arms all right, but whoa.
So where do you stand on hecklers?
I quite like it. It doesn't happen very often to me. I think as you're an older woman on stage, often you're a mum or a lecturer, so people are I don't get it as much. I quite enjoy people chatting back and joining in. So, but I think often when you ask the audience a question, I don't think there's any other job where everyone's like, don't answer, we'll get picked on. I'm like, I'm not going to pick on you. I'm just happy to be out of the house. I'm chatting.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess it does, if you're touring the country, is it like one night here you do get home in between, I suppose?
Yeah, I do get home. I try to sort of only spend a couple of days away from home.
Yeah.
But I normally drive back, even if I think my maximum is like a 4-hour drive, I'll try and get home.
And this next series of performances, is it part of a larger tour over the summer?
No, there's just always gigs in. So I'm working up a new show, so it takes me about 3, 4, 5 months to sort of...
Does it?
I like to throw out, I put little pockets of new stuff in my regular stand-up and then see what works and then slot it into...
You say you're working up a new show, so what's the process? What does that involve? How do you sit down with a blank piece of paper and end up with an hour and a quarter's comedy?
Well, there's just things that sort of pique your interest, and I think... There's stuff that's going on in your head that you'll throw out, and then eventually it'll take a shape. Quite often, you'll pick a title in January and then try and slot in a show theme around that.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
to pull it all together.
Start the title. Yeah, it's very nice. Now, okay, so going back to Space 1999, we are just minutes away from watching an episode from Space 1999. We're going to be watching The Infernal Machine, Chris.
Yes, which is episode 21 of series 1.
There you go.
Yes.
Some people might think that's a good thing.
Episodes in a series then?
24.
My God.
Yes, nearly at the end of the first year.
Yeah. So before we get there, Chris, I understand you have something rather special for us.
Now, time for Fab Facts.
It's Fab Facts.
Last.
And we do have a Fab Fact for this episode, which I shall now share with you. It's very interesting.
Okay.
Lucky thing.
So you'll remember, of course, that flurry of characters that we introduced you to earlier.
Okay.
One of them, Prentice Hancock, playing Paul Morrow, is not in this episode because he was being treated at the time for a minor medical emergency. So while he was away, actor Gary Waldhorn was brought in to fill his shoes in the replacement part of Winters. And we're going to have a look at his introduction.
Winters, you think you can fill that chair for a while? Yes, sir.
A face you might be familiar with on the right.
I won't let you down, sir. All right. Any problems, check with Carter.
It's ringing bells. Why don't...
Yes.
Good night, Commander.
So it's ringing a bell.
Why?
Okay.
Why do I know that face?
Well, at the time, he was already a familiar face on British television.
Okay.
Guest appearances in 1999, shows like The New Avengers, The Professionals, into the 80s, The Sweeney, Minder, things like that.
Yes.
Also in the 80s, he was a regular on the sitcom Brushstrokes.
Okay.
And then in the 90s and 2000s and 2010s, he was even more well known for playing David Horton in The Vicar of Dibley. And there he is, bottom right.
God.
Bottom right, there he is.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. You remember the Vicar of Dibley, of course.
I do, yes.
So we have some other Gerry Anderson alumni there. Top right is Roger Lloyd Pack.
Roger Lloyd Pack.
Yes. Who was, he played minor roles in 2 episodes of The Protectors, which was a 70s kind of crime spy-fi type show. And up here, so top left, we have John Bluthal, who was voices in a puppet show, Fireball XL5 from 1962.
Wow.
So we're going to show you some clips now of both of those in action.
Great.
Look, I despise Carpiano and everything he stands for.
Yes, I've read your articles. You've been exposing men like Carpiano.
I think he's supposed to be Italian.
You can help me.
How?
One name. One piece of information.
I think this episode is set in Venice.
Possibly. He's alive.
He committed suicide 2 months.
So young.
So young.
He's alive. And I intend...
Her eyes are striking, aren't
Beautiful, aren't they?
Now the retros. No power. That does it. Ouch! My spaceship. Someone should give the commander driving lessons. Hey, get off me, you wretched robot!
Wah, wah, wah. Sweet.
So what do you make of those? Is there anything there that you were inclined to sort of go, oh, I'd like to see more of that, or I wish I'd seen that?
I think like, watching the puppets, well, I think they're more animated than a lot of actors these days, aren't they?
Yes.
Well, we're about to see Barbara Bain in Space 1999. I did see someone mention on our Facebook group.
But we're not kind to Barbara Bain.
No, someone said that. Well, I like Barbara. It'd be interesting to see what you think. But someone on our Facebook group said their dad had mentioned that she had 2 expressions and they were both the same.
Wow.
But we shall see.
Yes. We also went looking for further connections between the Anderson world and the Rickard Dibley.
Yeah.
We came up with, it was Paul Mayhew Archer, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Who was a writer on Dibley
and Space Precinct.
Space Precinct, 1 or 2 episodes
Yes.
possibly.
Wow.
And here we have actor James Fleet as Hugo Horton, who in 1 episode of Dibley mentioned that he was going to go to a Captain Scarlet convention.
Oh, wow.
So there we go. That's
Sweet.
another little... And I'm sure he had a very nice time.
I bet he did, yeah.
As anyone would.
I once did a show called Galaxy Ball, which was about intergalactic football matches where all the players were dogs.
Sorry.
What?
What are we talking? TV? Theatre?
It was a TV show, but it was like a comic called Diane Spencer wrote it.
Oh, yes.
And it's about intergalactic space.
Right, I'm heading to
tournaments.
YouTube as soon as we're over
I think
here.
it's on YouTube.
Turn this off. Go find that.
Yeah, why are you watching? Find it. That's hilarious. Tell me you were playing one of the dogs.
I wasn't playing a dog, I was playing the manager of Team Earth.
When was this?
I want to say about 4 years ago,
Yeah,
maybe longer.
I so wish I found a clip of that. Well, Wendy, thank you so much for joining us. Now, I know you're going to stick around and watch an episode of Space 1999 with Chris and Jamie.
Are you more excited for it now that we've filled you in?
Yeah,
Or-
I am.
Yeah?
I'm very happy to step into this world. And
Are
thank
you?
you for having me. Yeah.
Well, we'll find you a costume.
I love the costumes.
Yes, you wait. You'll get an eyeful in a moment. But for our viewers at home, we'll just be showing a short teaser of this month's randomizer, and you can catch up with the whole episode with Wendy, Chris, and Jamie in a couple of weeks on the Gerry Anderson YouTube channel. But for now, let's watch some Space 1999.
Can't wait.
Well, I'm excited. Are you excited, Wendy?
I am. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's all about.
Well, this is certainly one way to
I'm going to be
learn.
bewildered and amazed, am I?
Certainly bewildered.
Jamie, is this one you've seen before off the top of your head?
If I have, it's not for a while.
What's your favourite?
Not Space 1999,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Controversy, right?
I know, but I'm sure we can enjoy it regardless.
There it's Moonbase Alpha.
Instant 70s vibes.
I love it. I just love it. Flared spacesuits.
He's not too bad. A couple of fractured ribs,
very
broken ankle. Dr. Russell says he'll be.
Although the belts are often not very flattering. Actually, this one's not too bad.
I don't
here.
think that those that fabric's not terribly forgiving, is it?
No. No. But designed by a proper fashion designer.
Oh, really? Those zappers that you get in Tesco now to for your shopping.
Those iconic lights, those little table lamps.
Oh, they're table lamps.
Sorella lamps, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very pricey now. If you wanted to get any to add to your 70s home decor.
Main mission calling Commander Koenig.
As are a lot of the tables and chairs in the crew quarters.
Just
This better be more than urgent.
But they look...
That's all for now, but if you'd like to watch the full randomizer, then you can join us next time on the Gerry Anderson Podcast channel on YouTube.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get started.
If I was blasted away on the moon, I'd probably take some water and a book, and I'd leave behind my phone.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.